Okay, so we'll just run through this. I'm doing the minutes too because Tammy's out today, so I got the office door closed with a note on it so nobody comes in while we're having our meeting.
Whoops.
Okay, so the first one, I talked to Joe Barberi at the DOR about the second homeowner study that I thought we were gonna do. But he said that we're really not up until next year. And because he has to review the whole thing, he'd rather wait until we actually do it during our reval, because I was kind of jumping the gun on it. We can still get everything ready to go before the end of the year and still send it out instead of waiting until like April or May of next year. And he's like, that's fine, but it's kind of pointless to do it this year when he won't have time to review it.
Okay, makes sense.
Hey Steve, do I have to say admit on this?
I did it, it's fine.
Okay. So yeah, so we'll wait on that, but again, I'm gonna have Tammy still get everything ready to go. We'll have a better idea of the people who should be getting them anyway by the fall when the tax bills go out. So again, we had a long conversation, Joe and I. The DOR, they're never going back to their offices. They've made a decision that every single one of them, including our rep and all the lawyers, everybody that we talk to at the divisional local services, they're working from home indefinitely. The only time that they go back to the building in Springfield is if they have a meeting. I don't know if that's changing, but he basically said, and he lives in Connecticut. He said that he's been told everything will be done from home. He'll start doing his visits to our town next year. Close, he mentioned he'll probably, if everything is up and running and obviously we should be open, he'll be stopping by sometime in the summer just so we can go over preliminary stuff for next year. But he said if we don't see him, then we'll be talking during the tax rate process, which he's in charge of doing our new growth and all the forms before we submit the tax rate. So it was a good conversation. I haven't talked to him since I think last November. And finally, I got an email that our map changes are done. And actually the website is updated already, even though if you were to go and click on anything that's been redone, like a subdivision or a plan that's been recorded, you won't get any ownership data come up. It will probably say there's no data link, only because they went ahead and updated everything before I got the map changes. So I have to make the map changes from what they tell me to do in the computer. Then I have to update and run the conversion file. So even though it exists, you can see it, the maps are done. I actually haven't gotten the physical copies of them in the mail yet. I'm assuming they'll probably be here this week or next week. And I already actually knew what the changes were going to be. So I went ahead and I have them ready to go, but I want to make sure I'm going to verify them today now that they're online on the Access GIS and make sure everything is okay before I make those changes. And actually I have to call the mapping company because we're all switched over to laptops now. I don't have the actual conversion program that will take the data once I change it from Vision and upload it to the mapping software. They've got to get onto the administrative side of our server and actually make that change for me. But I'm going to be talking to the GIS coordinator today to see if he can get that on my laptop, hopefully this week or next week. So that's looking good with all the map changes. Number 3. I'm sorry, Doug, go ahead.
I said, what's the, we've been trying to get the diagrams or the sketches of the buildings on the GIS.
Well, that I'm going to be talking to Mike about that again, because we put that on hold because of this switch over to the computers, but I have the price for it, but I didn't put it into the budget. I mean, it's supposedly only an $800 program that we can buy ourselves, but I need to know the steps in order to do it, because I still think I have to send all the PDFs of all of our sketches to them I even thought that next year, maybe possibly looking at vision software that handles the GIS. So we wouldn't have to do a conversion, but it would mean possibly going in a different direction with our GIS. I really like it and I'm used to the way it is. So it's not on hold indefinitely. It's just that we need to look into it. I need to see how much money is going to be left over in our budget. And if we don't have any, maybe we can find it for next year. But I haven't forgotten about it and they're aware of it. Tim Fountain knows about it. It's just that it'd be so much easier if we were using the Vision GIS component instead of the mapping company component. But it's difficult because I'd rather be with a mapping company that does the GIS and do a conversion instead of going with a company that only handles assessments and also happens to do GIS. So we'll talk about it more. I'm going to talk to Tim Fountain and see if he can give, if it's still $800 for that program. And it's something we have to buy ourselves. They won't buy it and then do the conversion for us. We're going to have to buy it and they'll step us through how we actually get that there. But I'm with you. It's been so long. We need to have those on there.
What's weird too is I'm looking at a property card off of the website and it has the assessed value.
Yeah.
But the weird thing is that we have no idea what year that assessment is from.
Yeah, I'm sending them a whole list of things because also they're listing the effective gross area instead of the gross area. And it's the gross area that everybody looks for. Effective area is just something that I use, during the sales analysis. It's really not anything that should even be out there. So I have a list of things that I'm going to talk to this Phil about with the GIS today. And I'll mention that too, that they should list the fiscal year, because another thing that I don't like what happens is when I do the conversion file, let's say for the mapping, it pulls the value that I'm currently working on. So what could happen is you could be looking at a value that's not even set yet. So I'm going to see if they can lock, you know what I mean? I want to see if they can lock that value and ignore like any conversion that I give them until we actually do the commitment in the fall. Because that's right now I'm making changes on the computer, building permit changes, chapter land changes, map changes. None of those are certified yet. But if I send over an update file, like let's say I updated all mailing addresses and I did a conversion to the online Access GIS, I believe, and I'm going to have to check it, I think it overwrites the valuation that's on there. And then all of a sudden people are seeing values that really aren't true values until they're set. Typically they won't change that much, but they will change. And I don't want people to be using a value that's not a fiscal year certified value. And it's just one of those things, like they must encounter this all the time. It must be a switch, because we don't want I could change hundreds of values before they actually get certified. So that's on my list too. I'll mention the fiscal year, the effective year built needs to go away. And if they can lock the values in place, they may not be able to. So we may have to put a disclaimer out there that maybe on our website, to look at the assessment history instead of the current value, because I think it does list the assessment history, but I'll double check. It doesn't show the assessment. That's another thing that should be on there.
Yeah, that's the thing is,
I'll mention all those things to him.
Yeah, because other towns used to use that CSC, and the CSC has gone away.
It did.
And so a lot of other towns, you can't even pull property cards right now, and it's sort of a problem.
It is. Also, there's a lot of towns, I think Lee is one of them, that was forced to, Great Barrington might be one too, that was forced to go to a different valuation system because they were under the state CAMA system, and the state won't support that. They're not, the state is not a software company. They should have never done it to begin with, but they did. In a lot of smaller communities, well, Lee's not really small and Great Barrington isn't either, but they were forced to purchase enough, like they had to either go with Vision or Paul Capinos or Patriots. There's RRC, there's a few other ones that are out there, and then they have to do a conversion. So it might be a while before you see record cards from them, because they have to come up with the money in order to get a brand new camera system. I mean, that could be a huge amount of money for these towns. And the state, I don't know if they left them high and dry. They just basically said, you have to get a new camera system because we're not a software company. And they're going through the process now. They may be, I think Great Barrington's going with Vision, because I showed a lot of different communities demos of our software, but that might be one of the reasons. It may not be the mapping, it might be the fact that they don't have a camera system that's completely functional yet, that they can actually upload those cards to. Thank God we've never been in that situation, and we've had Vision all along, which is great.
And Michael, one other thing too, it looks like we do not give out the state use code. And I'm looking at Lee's does give it. And sometimes that is nice to have.
Oh, you mean the land use code, like a 101, 102?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that should be, that's common sense. I mean, God, everybody uses those.
Yeah, so that's not on ours. So,
Okay.
and it's weird. Lee doesn't, on their property card using the same software, they're not even giving owner, co-owner mailing address. They're missing a lot of stuff.
See that I bet that's because of their conversion. They literally had to do conversion in a full, I believe, a full field inspection where the state had to look at everything to make sure the conversion, it may have been done in-house instead of having to go back out in the field and make sure their data when it was converted matches what they had. But I know a lot of communities are still dealing with that, and it's a problem. I feel bad for these communities that are dealing with this.
Okay.
So I'll talk to him today about those points. I was away for a couple days last week, and I came back to the office with a few things sitting on my desk. And number 3, the appellate tax board case that we talked about before that was going to get rescheduled for the Sisto Sheehan property, that's now postponed until September 28th with the hopes that we receive an appraisal before that. And so sitting on my desk when I came in, there's not just one new filing. I'll just mention to you, Mr. Sheehan did apply again for fiscal year 21, which was to be expected. And we also received filings for Camp Mackinac and Front Yard LLC, which is Elm Court. So those are all for fiscal 21. They all met the deadline, the 3-month deadline for filing with the appellate tax board. So we have them. I'll create folders for them, and we'll wait and see when I'd be doubtful that the actual appellate tax board case for those will be heard this year. They can't lump it in with September 28th because that was a specific date that we did just for the Sheehan property. They could lump in the fiscal year 21s for that, but I have a feeling these will be heard next April. And if it's okay with you guys, I kind of want to hand at least the Front Yard one over, at least have Ray Miaras aware of it, because to date, that is the biggest value ATV case I've ever seen filed. So, I mean, we're talking evaluation right now that is 6.3 million. And again, when that was filed, there was no indication of value. And Doug, is that still on the market?
It is. And
Okay.
that's the thing, the 6.3 million or 6.8 million is less than, well, it's probably 60% of what the purchase price was.
Right.
And I will look it up right now to see what it's listed for. So it's a little disingenuous if they're listing it for, I think it's 12 point something million. So it's a little disingenuous to list it for 12 million and say that 6 million is too much when it's supposed to be full market value.
Exactly. I know. Again, there's no explanation on the ATV filing as to indication of value. It's the same as the actual abatement application that initially came through. There was no appraisal. There's no indication of value. It's just, let's just throw it out there and see what sticks. So I just want to mention to you guys that one will be pending going forward.
Yeah, I'm looking it up right now, and it's not listed as commercial, so it must only be listed as residential. And You know what? It might be withdrawn, or it's not,
Okay.
or it's not in our MLS.
All right.
Strange.
Well, this attorney is from Westboro, Mass. I'm sure I will be hearing from him, Merrick O'Connell, in the future. So I will just keep you guys updated when I do hear from them. I'm sure it'll be soon. Okay, number 4, I filed the exemption reimbursements because you guys signed off on the last 4 a couple weeks ago. So we will get reimbursed on the cherry sheets through the gateway system. So those are in and filed on time, and we're all set with those. Number 5, the chapter land changes. I think I mentioned to you last year, they kept the farmland valuation committee kept the chapter land values the same last year, which was the first time in history that I can ever remember that they didn't change. And I'm sure that had something to do with COVID, being able to get together and meet to figure out what the average values are going to be. This year, not the case. They actually increased the values per acre, not by a huge amount, but it's kind of getting back to normal. The last time they did this was fiscal year 20. And so I made those changes already on the system, and we're good to go on all the chapter lands for this year.
I just want to report, I did find old Stockbridge Road. They don't have it listed. They have it listed as being in Lenox, not in Stockbridge. So they have the wrong town in the in the MLS.
And is it
so
still
12.5 million?
Okay, wow. Very interesting.
4.5?
12.
Oh, 12.5 in Lennox.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's double the valuation currently.
Yeah.
So number 6, we didn't have a staff meeting last week because what was supposed to be a staff meeting was actually Ray's retirement party. He's now officially retired from the town, and Terry is actually doing the payroll and filling in until they hire somebody. But we didn't have a chance to talk about the reopening, but Mike had told us initially that it was going to be June 1st. So, June 1st is coming up pretty quick. And I would assume we're going to hear more things about, the new thing about the masks and everything, but we still have to wear them in here. But I would assume, and I'll double check with him, that we should be able to start having our meetings here. My issue is not issue, but just concern is going to be, are we still going to be required after June 1st to, even if you guys can come here for the meetings, are we going to have to broadcast those meetings through Zoom like they do with the selectmen meetings? It might be possible at that point, even if we have a full reopening. I mean, even with a full reopening, we're still talking about the mandates for, the shield guards that we have up at the counter. We're thinking about putting a table or chairs, so people just don't walk in and, go over to the maps and the deeds and start helping themselves, because we still need to have some type of protocol in place. And we can discuss that. I don't know what the town is going to do with that. I'm sure it's going to be the topic of our next staff meeting, which I don't think is probably going to be until the first Tuesday of June. But again, if June 1st is the day for opening, we still don't have the hand sanitizer, things that are supposed to be in the hallway. I guess they were supposed to also block off certain entrances still. But again, this might all change where after the CDC made their announcement, and I think Governor Baker is supposed to be speaking about that probably today. We may be following exactly what he says, but I still think June 1st is probably, or is it June? Yeah, June 1st is probably going to be the day that we reopen. And hopefully we can start having our meetings in here. I can still broadcast it if that's what needs to be done. But if we're open to the public, that means we're pretty much, I would say, back to normal, even if we still have to wear masks and hand sanitize and wipe things down when people come in. You know, I mean, we'll probably still do the policy of not allowing anyone to come back into the office to look at the maps. We'll bring everything to them, or we may just suggest that if there's research that has to be done on the maps or the deeds, that people do that still online at this point. But again, we'll find out from the select board and from Mike as to what the actual plans are going to be. Do you guys have any opinions on that, or we just go with the flow?
I think it would be better if we have to meet in the town hall. It'd be better if we don't have to meet and record it.
I do too.
Therefore, I think we should meet in the selectman's office, which is a bigger space, and allow to sit further back. I don't think it makes sense to go into the office and then have to record it. I think that's just very.
I don't either. So would you rather it be in the office that they have their meetings and still record it?
I don't think we should. If we're in the building, I don't think we should have to record it.
I don't either.
We should get to a space that we can allow the public to come in, assuming that they let the public in. Otherwise, I think we should. Otherwise, just continue to be on Zoom.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, again, we'll find out if they're going to make it a mandate that we still keep recording. But if there's going to be an opening and we're open to the public, you know, full time, I would not understand that reasoning behind that. But I like the idea that, you know, we go, even if it was the gymnasium, you know, a bigger room, a bigger area where people can come in. I mean, typically we don't get a lot of people that come in, but again, you never know. And, you know, we're now used to going into the executive session like we did on Zoom. You know, these pending appellate tax board cases, they'll come fast, and there may be a you know, where we have to meet with the attorneys going forward. And so I agree, it'd be nice to be able to have a meeting again where, you know, it's open to the public, truly open to the public, where we don't have to record it. But I will find that out soon from the select board and Mike, and see where they want to go with this. It may be the new norm. How do we know?
If we do opt to meet in person in a larger room, would the secondary select board meeting room be possible? The one with the copying machines? It's a big table, and it just would be slightly preferable from my perspective than the other room, but it would be up to other people, I guess.
Right. Yeah. I'll ask them where they're going to allow us to meet. You know, things seem to be moving. Like, I know we've been dealing with this for a long time now, but now that they're making all these announcements, I think there's still a lot of confusion, especially now as the mask mandate, and Massachusetts is going to still require us to still follow, you know, the baker's guidelines. I'm sure there's going to be a lot that comes out this week, and then they're going to have to interpret it and tell us what we have to do at this point. You know, we're lucky enough that we made this work, you know, through the whole thing, and I think it worked amazingly but it would be nice to get back to our normal routine. I'm sure everybody feels that way. It's not just us. So hopefully if we hear something this week, I will email you guys and tell you. Number 7, it's kind of we need to figure out, well, I need to go through the budget and carry over money into the fiscal year 21 if we can, because whatever we have left over will go towards the 504 valuations. And so I've been very careful with that. There's not a lot of bills that we still have to pay. Other than number 8, I have to order a few things that we're running low on, and we should be okay. But like I said, I talked to you guys before that we're gonna try to fund the 504s through whatever's left in our budget, and I believe a transfer, but it's not going to be an article at the town meeting. But again, they're well aware that this has to be done, and one way or another, the funds for it have to be found.
Mike, can you remind me the date of the town meeting?
I think I'm not sure, Tom. Is it the 20, maybe the 21st of June? It's not May.
No, it's
Okay.
definitely June.
It's been postponed till June. And again, that whole thing, the way they conduct the meetings could change as well, because again, if we're open to the public June 1st and Baker says, you know, we can have gatherings indoors and outdoors without masks, they may end up having it in the gymnasium again. It's all undetermined, but I'm sure we're going to hear about it.
According to the
Which is-
website, annual town meeting is going to be June 12th, which is a Saturday at 10 a.m.
Oh,
birthday.
okay.
It says at town hall, which I think is supposed to be at town offices. Because
Yeah.
But-
there-
Yes, yeah.
10
We don't want
o'clock.
people going over to the old building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys get your, they may not be in the mail yet, but the annual reports are out.
Oh, they came
Oh,
out
yeah.
a couple weeks ago.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right. Yeah, we just got our copies last week. There's nothing to sign, but Tammy will have motor vehicle available or ready to sign, you know, for our first meeting in June. So are you guys okay with June 7th?
yes,
Yeah.
Okay, June 7th. And again, we'll know for sure what the procedure is going to be prior to June 1st. So June 7th should be good, and that'll be our new way of doing meetings, or maybe it'll be this way. I don't know yet. That's all that I have right at the moment.
so before we close, just a quick question. Did
Yep.
did anybody else get like a text from Michael Canales that didn't really make sense?
Um,
A few
just
weeks
recently,
no, yeah, like a few weeks ago. It was in my
I
text.
didn't.
Okay, I don't know. It was something about like a survey, and I wasn't sure if anybody else experienced it.
No,
Oh, nope.
Okay.
I didn't see anything.
it wasn't on housing, was it?
I don't know. I have to look on my phone, and I'm zooming off my phone. So
I think there was a,
There was an email that I got. Gary, is that what you're talking about?
yeah, it might have been an email, not a text. Yeah, I didn't get a text. That's right. Not a text, an email.
okay.
So I think that's it for today. You guys all set?
Yeah, don't
Okay.
forget to vote tomorrow.
Don't forget. Okay.
Good luck, Gary.
Well, I might even
Yeah.
vote twice for Gary. I don't know.
Well, I was glad, Gary, they
Well, I'd
printed your
appreciate
letter.
it one time.
You'll be fine.
All right, we'll see you guys. Thank
Okay,
you.
Bye.
guys. Thank
See
you.
you.
Yeah,
So long.
bye-bye.